First of all, I think in a business which is successful, as is this business, I always say to my team, you should be thinking that the worst is coming. And you should never be satisfied. And you should be always frightened and on the qui-vive. In a way, state of mind is to be positive, paranoid. So on one hand, we try to be thinking of the worst, but on the other hand, we are optimistic. I try to be optimistic long term, but pessimistic short term. That's a good state of mind, I think. In the 90s, I had the idea of a luxury group. And at the time, I was very much criticized for it. I remember people telling me it does not make sense to put together so many brands. And my father was really exceptional because he always gave me the sense of business. And when I arrived in the business with him, after 3 years, he told me, "Hey, Guy, I think you are able to run the business, so let's do it." And he gave me the key. I was 25, and I was running. It was a small business, only 1,000 people, but it was risky for him because it's a business he built over his entire life. Starting from that, we built the LVMH today. And it took us also a long time to build, and against a lot of criticism. And a lot of people thought we were crazy to do it. And then we tried to build it, and today, little more than 15 years after, it's the #1 seller worldwide of beauty products, and it's also a very, very successful internet e-tailer. For instance, we are #1 in the US for beauty products, selling on the internet far above any competitor. The group, the LVMH group, in spite of its size, is very, very startup-minded. And I think it's part of our culture. It's because I am an engineer, and I have always been passionate about technology. And for me to be in touch with startups, technology startup, has always been a passion. I have invested in many of them with variable success, but globally it was, and it still is, a fantastic experience. You know, LVMH, I said, is a large group by French standard. Today, believe it or not, we are #1 on the French market cap here. But I think by international standard, it's still very small. So I used to say to my team, we are still very small, we are still like a startup, and I will be happy when we have maybe 2 or 3 times that market cap. So we'll see if we can get it. Our culture is based mainly on creativity. And in a startup, the major reason for success at the beginning is to have an idea, a creative idea, an innovative idea that is really putting the company with an advance to everybody else. It should be, to be successful, a game changer. But it's not enough. I think almost as important as the idea at the beginning is the execution, and the fact that building on the idea must be really very professional, very efficient, and that also makes a difference. I have seen a lot of startups with very interesting ideas, but with also some other competitors almost with the same ideas, but only one or two of them are successful, it's because the execution of their business plan. So it's key for the long-term success of a startup to be able to execute well. In our business, what is really important is to keep the level of innovation. So for the long term, I think we have the teams that assure us to create enough new invention, new products to keep on with the growth of the market. But it's a constant quest. We see maybe every year between 20 and 25% of new products, and we have to look at them in every detail to make sure that the level of innovation is really sufficient. Because the tendency in a group that work well is sometimes, and we try to avoid it, some form of auto-satisfaction. And when you see the results from the press, I prefer, frankly, to have some critics than to have, as we did during the last release of the numbers, people everywhere saying, oh, it's fantastic, the numbers are great, and blah, 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 which is not good for the state of mind. At the beginning, when I started the group, we did a turnaround. And I think to be really good long term, you should keep that same state of mind. As a company, even if it's successful, should be managed in a way as if it could get under within the next 12 months. Luxury, for me, is how can you create desire? The most important word in our business is desire. How to create desire. I don't like very much the word luxury, because you have something attached to it which means show off, which means something of non-significance, something futile, something that is useless. And I think a better definition is combination of quality and creativity. It's how I define what we do. We don't do marketing, because marketing is against what a company like us should do. We do completely differently. We create new products, and sometimes it fails, but when it's successful, the customers follow. So it's a challenging market, but for strong brands, it's full of potential. In the past, we went through many crises. We are able to grow faster than the competition, and sometimes also it's a good period to find opportunities. But you have to be patient and try to avoid to invest when everything is too expensive. Because you see people in the stock market, when it's going to grow fast, they try to buy. And on the opposite, when it's going down, the people try to sell faster and faster, which is strange. And always in a situation, think of what can go wrong. And always puts you in question. Is what we do really enough? Are we doing the good innovations? Are we managing in the right direction? What can go bad? That is what is fun and a key to success.